She was alone, in broad daylight, driving a car most could only dream of owning, a sleek Lamborghini gleaming under the sun. But today, admiration turned to anger, and strangers became threats. Bullies surrounded her, mocking, shoving, and daring her to back down. Every heartbeat pounded with fear and defiance. What she did next wasn't just surprising. It challenged everything they expected, and it would leave everyone watching speechless. How far would she go to claim her dignity, and what price would she pay for standing her ground? Before that day, she lived a life many envied, but few truly understood. A successful professional, independent and proud, she loved the thrill of her Lamborghini, a symbol of years of hard work and determination. Her mornings were quiet, filled with coffee and city streets slowly waking, and her evenings were for friends, ambition, and dreams bigger than the skyline. She had faced challenges before, but nothing like what was about to happen. The world she knew, the familiar streets, casual glances, passing strangers, was about to twist into something unrecognizable. And as she started that afternoon drive, she had no idea that admiration could so quickly turn into hostility. The sun glinted off the polished curves of her Lamborghini as she eased through the busy streets, each turn bringing a familiar sense of control and freedom. But today, something felt different. A group of men lingered on the sidewalk, their eyes sharp, their laughter low and mocking. At first, she tried to ignore them, focusing on the hum of the engine and the rhythm of her own heartbeat. But they stepped closer as she slowed at a stoplight, their shouts slicing through the air. Words meant to belittle her, to mark her as an outsider, rolled over her like stones. She gripped the steering wheel tighter, her pulse spiking, every instinct warning her that this was no ordinary harassment. One of them reached out toward the car, smacking the hood, and she could feel the tension ripple through her. Around them, passers-by looked away or whispered behind their hands, unwilling to intervene. The city, once a backdrop to her ambition, suddenly seemed hostile and watchful. Her mind raced. Could she drive away safely? Could she even defend herself without escalating the situation? But before she could decide, a rock struck the window, shattering the fragile barrier between her and the anger surrounding her. Glass flew, spraying her arm, and a gasp escaped her lips. Not just from the pain, but from the realization that these weren't random acts of aggression. This was targeted. Every instinct screamed for escape, yet the crowd tightened, circling, their voices rising in intensity. People honked and shouted from the street, a chaotic blur of noise and fear. She could see their sneers clearly now, the disdain in their eyes, and a sharp pang of disbelief hit her. How could admiration for success provoke such hatred? Her hands shook, but a flicker of defiance ignited inside her. She had faced challenges before, but never like this, where envy and racism intertwined so violently. Then, as if on cue, one of them lunged at the door. She slammed the car into gear, tires screaming against asphalt, heart hammering. The mob scattered for a second, but the danger wasn't over. Shadows flitted across the street ahead, other bystanders, some recording, some jeering, but no one intervened. Every second felt stretched, every decision weighted with unseen consequences. And then came the moment that would define everything. A split-second choice that could either make her a victim or force the world to acknowledge the injustice. With the street still alive with tension, she braced herself, knowing that whatever happened next would be talked about long after the adrenaline faded. The question hung in the air, heavy and electric. What would she do when the entire world seemed set against her? Her engine roared as she sped through the narrow streets, heart hammering like a drum. Behind her, the jeers grew louder, footsteps pounding against the pavement as if the world itself was pressing down on her. Every turn felt perilous, every glance over her shoulder a reminder that escape was anything but certain. One of the bullies darted in front of the car, waving his arms, daring her to stop. Fear shot through her veins, but so did something sharper, defiance. Her mind raced. Years of achievement, struggle, and pride flashed in a heartbeat. She refused to be reduced to a stereotype, a target for hatred. And in that instant, she made a decision that would change everything. She didn't scream, she didn't panic. She acted with a precision born of necessity, maneuvering through the chaos with courage that surprised even her. The crowd surged, but she held her ground, every nerve alive with tension, every second stretched by the unrelenting danger. One of them tried to block her path again, and for a moment it seemed impossible, like the city itself had turned against her. But then, with a move both bold and calculated, she shifted the car, creating a clear path, and drove through the chaos, leaving behind not just startled faces, but the weight of their assumptions and their hate. As the immediate danger passed, her chest heaved, adrenaline still coursing, eyes wide with disbelief at what had just unfolded. The city was still alive around her, watchers, cameras, murmurs. But she had survived. And yet the encounter wasn't just an escape. It was a statement, a defiance against the cruelty she had faced. The question now lingered, heavy and unresolved. How would the world react to a woman who refused to be intimidated, who turned fear into empowerment, who refused to be erased by the hatred around her? She finally pulled into a quiet street, hands trembling, heart still pounding from the chaos she had just endured. The adrenaline faded, leaving a mix of relief, anger, and disbelief in its wake. She had faced hatred head-on and refused to be diminished by it. In that moment, she realized the incident was bigger than herself. It was a reflection of a society still grappling with envy, bias, and prejudice. As she stepped out of the car, surveying the aftermath, she understood something vital. Success, visibility, and independence could make someone a target, not because of who they were, but because of who others expected them to be. And yet, standing tall amidst the remnants of that hostility, she knew courage and resilience could rewrite that narrative. Her story wasn't just about surviving an attack. It was about challenging assumptions, demanding respect, and refusing to be erased. The world around her hadn't changed in an instant, but her response had sent a message that could ripple far beyond that street. Every action, every choice to stand firm in the face of injustice mattered. She had turned fear into empowerment, anger into assertion, and a moment of violence into a testament to strength. And so the question lingers for all who hear her story. How many more will face hostility simply for existing boldly in a world that expects them to shrink? How will we, as witnesses, respond when we see injustice unfold? Her experience is not an isolated incident. It is part of a larger, uncomfortable truth. The story leaves us with a challenge, to recognize bias, to confront it, and to ensure that dignity and respect are never optional.